Hello everyone, my name is Mr. M. Today we're going to learn how to solve quadratics using the quadratic formula. So go ahead and complete the intro activity first. Be sure to pause your video while you're doing it. Come back once you're done to check your answer. Alright, let's go over with this quickly. So it says find the roots of x squared minus 2x plus 35 by factoring. So be sure to check the link of the videos that I did in the description box, where I shared how to solve quadratic equation using factoring. Finally, you're going to have a value of x is equal to 7 and x is equal to negative 5. These are the roots of the quadratics that was given to us. So roots. Speaking of roots, there are several ways to call it. So roots, sometimes you will see zeros or solutions of quadratics or x values. Alright, now if you notice inside it says x-intercept. So what makes x-intercepts different from the other form? So these are written in coordinates. Clear? Now let's go to the key concept. So in solving quadratic equations, you have two basic category. One, graphically, you can use your calculator. I'm going to show that to you in a separate video. Now algebraically, when they say solve this quadratics algebraically, you have three options. One is factoring or crisscross method. Number two is completing the square. That's a separate video. And today we are going to learn quadratic formula. Okay, so that's a third method. So sometimes the questions will give you a specific method to use, just like in the intro activity. It says find the zeros or the roots by factoring. Clear? So, what is a quadratic formula? Quadratic formula, of course, is a formula x is equal to the negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, where a is the leading coefficient, that is the coefficient of the quadratic term. B is the middle coefficient, or the coefficient of the linear term. And C is the easiest to remember, it's the constant. Let's take a look at the model problem. Solve the quadratic equation x squared minus 2x minus 35 equals 0 by using quadratic formula. So 1, it's already written in standard form. It's equal to 0, right? All the terms on the other side. And also, they're very specific. Use the quadratic formula. Now let's go to the steps. Step 1. It says identify A, B, and C. A, again, is the coefficient of the quadratic term, or the leading coefficient. In this case, you don't see any number, right? But it's 1 right there. There's positive 1 right there. So that's the leading coefficient, or the coefficient of the quadratic term. Now B, as we mentioned earlier, it's the coefficient of the linear term, or the middle coefficient. That's 2. And C is the constant, which is negative 35. Alright? Now, so we have this formula. Alright, step 2. It says substitute the values of A, B, and C to the formula. I set it up for you in a way that I put parentheses around each variable here, or letters. You see here, it says negative b. So instead of putting b here, I put parentheses and leave it blank. Then the square root of b again, parentheses. And so basically, every time you see a variable here or letters here, you see parentheses. And that's very important. Why? Because we are substituting values for each of the variable there. Right? So going back here, so x equals negative b. That's very important. That's a common error. The students always forget to put the negative before the parentheses. Alright? So negative b. But what is b? It's negative 2. So let's bring that down here. Plus minus the square root of b. It says b squared. So we're going to put the value of b here. Again, that's negative 2. Right? Now, how about here? Negative, it says negative 4a. So, what's the value of a? Positive 1. It's right there. Now, this is times c. C is negative 35. All over, okay? The reason why I say all over, it's from the negative there all the way to the last number here. You don't forget to put the line all the way. So 2 times what? It says 2a, which is positive 1. Right there. So that's step 2. Let's go to step 3. Step 3 says, perform the computation inside the square root symbol. What is inside the square root symbol? Don't do everything yet. This is like your innermost. Alright? You have to do everything that, inside the radical symbol. So if you have a calculator, put them in your calculator the way you see it, including the parentheses if you have a parentheses in your calculator. Alright? So, if we do that, that means here, so what is the value? So what is the value if you put this inside your calculator? And you're supposed to get 144. So that's the square root of 144. How about the outside? So it says negative. So remember, if you have a negative outside the parentheses, it's like negative 1. So you multiply that. Negative 1 times negative 2. That's positive 2. It must be there. Right there. Yeah, positive 2. And then, and the denominator says 2 times positive 1. It's not 2 plus 1, okay? So 2 times positive times positive 1. That's positive 2. Clear so far? Now step 4. Applies the square root. Meaning, you have to do this first again. What is the square root of 144? Use your calculator and you will find it's 12. Now remember, there is a plus and a minus before the square root. Right? So that's why you have plus and a minus there. Now, what will happen with this purple 2? You just bring it down. And the denominator, 2. Got it? Now let's go to step 5, the last one. So step 5 says split and solve for x. What do we mean by that? You see that? We split. Why? Because you have a plus and a minus. Right? So if you notice here, I set it up the way you see it, except that 1 is a plus, 1 is a minus. So what would I write here? So 2 plus 12 over 2. 2 plus 12 over 2. And the other one is 2 minus 12. 2 minus 12 over 2. We're going to deal with this in a while. Let's do this first. Says split and then solve. So you perform the numerator first. 2 plus 12 is positive 14 divided by 2. That's positive 7. How about the other half? 2 minus 12 What is 2 minus 12? That's negative 10. Then you divide by 2. Then you have your final answer, negative 5. Alright, so if you notice, this is the same number or same answer that we found in the intro activity. Why? Because we have the same problem actually. It's x squared minus 2x minus 35 equals 0. Let's take a look here. You see that? X squared minus 2x minus 35 equals 0. And we got the same roots. X is equal to 7 and x is equal to negative 5. Now, why is that? It depends on the problem. Again, sometimes they specifically tell you to use factoring or use quadratic formula. If they don't say the method that you need to use, then you can use any of the two. Or you can use the other method of completing the squares. Now it's your turn to practice. Go ahead and complete these two problems. Be sure to pause your video while you're doing it. Come back once you're done to check your answers. Welcome back. I hope you got them both correct. Thank you for watching and learning with me. Be sure to click the links below inside the description box for additional resources so you can practice and learn more. Please take care of yourself and each other.